This easy, bro.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, sports lovers all around the world. Welcome to the first episode of the Halftime Talk. Now, on this channel, we'll be talking all things sports, from your team news, your tactics, and I'll be going as far as predicting what I think will happen in those particular match days or match weeks. Also, be on the lookout for our wrap-up videos the following week, where we'll be discussing what actually happened in the fixtures that we previewed the previous week. I certainly cannot wait to interact with you guys on this platform and many other social media platforms. With that being said, please do like, comment, and subscribe. And if you can, turn on your post notification button so that you get notified every time we drop these videos. Suggest this channel to your friends and family. And with that being said, let's jump straight into it. Now, kicking off this weekend will be the Rugby Championship, a third round, with a couple of interesting fixtures. The first one being New Zealand taking on Argentina. This will be the fourth time that these two sides will be meeting at a neutral venue, this being after SANZA decided to move the Rugby Championship into a bio bubble in Australia in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic that has been ongoing in the southern hemisphere. Now, the last time these two sides met, Argentina managed to get away with a 25-15 victory over the All Blacks. Now, Argentina will be looking to gain a lot of inspiration from the last time these two sides met, because they're playing an All Blacks team that has managed to win the past 7 matches with an average margin of 40 points per game. Now, the last time the All Blacks managed to win more games in succession was in between November 2017 and September 2018, where they went on a 9-game winning streak, at which they also beat the Argentinian rugby team 46-24. Now, this paints a story that Argentina is going to have to be at their best in defense, and discipline has been Argentina's downfall in the past couple of test matches. In fact, they've managed to pick up 6 yellow cards and 1 red card, and 2 of those yellow cards came from their fixtures against the Springboks. Now, Argentina are going to need to be disciplined and fix that part of their game if they do wish to stay in the game and frustrate New Zealand. Now, Argentina will be looking at players like Julian Montoya to be on their best on defense, and as well as players like Sanchez to keep them on the scoreboard. Now, from a New Zealand perspective, players like Arika Ioane will be very crucial. In fact, this player has managed to get 17 out of 18 of his gain line carries. That tells you how important he is for New Zealand on the ball. Also, other players like Will Jordan will be crucial. In fact, Will Jordan managed to score 11 tries out of 6 games. This just tells you how on form this player is. My personal opinion, I do not see the game going any other way. I see New Zealand winning the game quite comfortably by 10 points or more. So we'll be looking for Argentina to really be inspired and really cause an upset. But otherwise, I see this game going one way and one way only. New Zealand with the victory. Moving on to the next fixture, the Springboks will be taking on Australia at the Rugby Stadium in Australia. Now, the Boks will be heading into this fixture quite confident, especially after winning the last 2 tests against the Wallabies. But it should be mentioned that the last time South Africa managed to win more successive games against the Wallabies was back in September 2012 through to September 2013. And there was a 3-match winning streak against the Wallabies. Now, with that being said, Australia have won 19 out of 24 home games against the Springboks, and only losing 3 times against the Boks, which brings an interesting twist into the game. The Springboks have kind of enjoyed playing under the banner of the underdogs. I think the Boks undeservedly have been underestimated ever since they've won the the World Cup. Certain people from the from the southern hemisphere are feeling that the Boks didn't really deserve or prove themselves to be world champions, especially after winning the first fixture against New Zealand. But with that being said, I think the Boks have grown. I think the Boks are enjoying how they are going about their business currently, although they've been under a lot of scrutiny from the media and certain coaches coming out and saying that they do not really like how the Springboks are going about their games and how the brand of rugby that we are playing. And I just feel like, people should focus on what they're doing, and should focus on how they're playing. If playing with the ball a lot is working for New Zealand, then good for them. I don't think the Boks should be forced to play the way New Zealand or Australia plays. I think the Boks should stay true to what has made them the Springboks, which is the physicality, which is being good at the set piece, the lineouts, and the scrums. Um, and with that being said, I also do feel like the Springboks moving forward are going to have to be a bit more adventurous on attack. What got us to this point might not get us to defending our rugby championship, because we are going to be playing, essentially a tougher opponent against New Zealand, and also Australia do bring a certain threat on attack. So we're going to be tested in different parts of the game. But when we have the ball, we're going to have to do a bit more than just kicking position into their hands, because we know what teams like Australia and New Zealand can do with the ball in hand. So. It's going to be a really interesting match, in my opinion, but I do think that the Boks will have enough to get over the line against Australia, particularly with Andre Pollard's game management. I think also we just have enough in the bench to come and make an impact onto the game. I think our forwards, if Dwayne Vermeulen is included in the first 15, will have a lot of the team will have quite a huge boost in terms of leadership, accompanied by Sia and Irban, will just have enough to overpower the Wallabies. But what should be said is that the Wallabies are coming into this one trying to prove a point, trying to bounce back, and what greater a chance than against the world champions to get your confidence back. I mean, they come off two streak defeat against the All Blacks, and they'll be wanting to prove a point. They'll be wanting to put some points on the board, especially as far as the standings are concerned. So this will make a really this seems like a making of a really interesting and a classic, in my opinion. But I do think the Springboks will just have enough to beat the Wallabies. I'm thinking anything between 3 to 5 points will be enough for the Springboks to win. Also resuming this weekend is the DSTV Premiership. A couple of big matches or big fixtures will be taking place. The first one being Orlando Pirates taking on Morocco Swallows, the Soweto Derby, or the original Soweto Derby as some call it. A big fixture for Orlando Pirates. Obviously, Pirates having a really eventful and disappointing start to the season, losing their head coach Joseph Zenboa. He decided to resign a couple of weeks ago, and also having a couple of bad results. Obviously losing the first fixture of the season, which was the MTN 8 quarterfinal to the same side of Swallows FC. Yeah, I think Orlando Pirates have a lot of work to do. A lot of people believe that um, Pirates' negative finish to the previous season was because of Coach Zenboa's philosophy and tactics, and the slow start to this season was also because of Coach Zenboa's tactics and his man management in the dressing room. And I partly I agree, but I also disagree. I think it's one thing to have a coach that has tactics that don't align with the players. But it's another thing to have players who are walking onto the pitch and not giving their best or 100%, or at least showing that they're willing to die for the badge. I think Pirates players are partly to blame for the recent results. I think there's a lot of work that the new technical team or the new coach has to do with the players. I think they need to instill some sort of confidence back into them. I think the players themselves, I mean, I was watching an interview where Tembin Kosiloch was talking about how there's no camaraderie within the dressing room at Orlando Pirates, and the players themselves are going to need to start working on finding some sort of chemistry in between them, because it's visible on the pitch. They lack creativity. They seem to be not ticking or not playing at the same wavelength. So that those type of things need to improve, because remember, this is an Orlando Pirates team that has been improving or being really active in the transfer market for the past 3 to 4 seasons, and they only have one trophy to show for that. And for me, it's really disappointing. A club as big as Orlando Pirates should be winning two trophies every season at least. Not saying there's no competition in the league, but with the strength of their squad, they should be, competing for so many titles. Yet they are not, and the recent results are not an excuse. I think the players need to improve. I think they need to help the new technical team reach the season's objectives. Pirates are facing a Swallows squad that has improved. I think a Swallow squad that has improved not only on the pitch, but a Swallow squad that has improved in terms of the signings that they made. I think they made really good business in the transfer market. And remember, we're speaking about a club that gained promotion last season, and not only did they do well in staying in the league, they did well by finishing in the top 8, and they're currently in the semi-final. They're playing a semi-final against Cape Town City, and I'm really impressed with with what Coach Brandon Truter and his technical team have managed to do with the Swallow squad. I think tactically they're astute. I think they play a really unique game in terms of as far as South African football is concerned. They're not a team that likes pushing a lot of numbers forward. They play a game that's really conservative, and they play a game that is not really prone to counter attacks or anything like that. So they play according to their strength, and they do it so well. But one thing they're going to need to improve from last season is turning some of those draws into victories. I mean, I think they made about 17 draws the whole season, which is is quite impressive, but it's not a good thing moving forward. If they do wish to continue being in the top 8, they have to improve that, or they can even finish higher. I think they have potential of doing more than they did last season, and especially with those draws coming from a winning position. So for me personally, I think it's going to be an interesting fixture between the two sides. Who I think is going to win the fixture, I think Morocco Swallows, if there had to be a victor, Morocco Swallows is going to be victorious. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a draw, but I don't see Orlando Pirates winning the game either. I think there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work Coach Mandla needs to do on the squad. He also needs time to get his combinations right, especially with the couple of new signings coming in. They need time to adapt to the squad. I know it might be frustrating to you as a Pirates fan to hear this, but it is the reality. It is true. Certain players, certain coaches need time to get their things right, and it is going to continue being a very slow start for Orlando Pirates. Hopefully they start picking up. I think their fans deserve it. The management and the chairman deserve good results. So I'll be hoping to see more of those moving forward. So yeah, that's my take on the first fixture. Now, the second big fixture kicking off this weekend is Mamelodi Sundowns taking on Kaizer Chiefs. Now, this will be the second time that these two sides meet this season. Obviously, having after meeting in the MTN 8 quarterfinal, Sundowns emerging as victors on penalties. Now, after that, Sundowns have managed to win one game and drawn one. On the other hand, Kaizer Chiefs have managed to also improve on their start of the season after losing to Mamelodi Sundowns, winning one and also drawing one. So this is quite a big fixture for both sides. Obviously, both sides have made their intentions clear in the transfer market, making quite a number of big signings. With Kaizer Chiefs signings making an immediate impact, I think Nange and Cole Alexandra have managed to basically solidify their positions in the midfield. Keegan Dolly making cameo appearances in the first two fixtures and having his first start against Baraka, and we saw what happened there. I think it was an absolutely phenomenal first half from Kaizer Chiefs, creating quite a number of chances, and that was the first time I think We saw Kaizer Chiefs create such chances, and what I also liked seeing, and quite a number of players look like they're enjoying their football. I think there's quite a good energy within the camp. I think the new management, the new technical team coming in have brought some sort of positivity into the club, and instilled some sort of confidence into certain players and their abilities. So it's going to be quite an interesting and exciting season for Kaizer Chiefs. For Mamelodi Sundowns, it seems like it's a work in progress. Obviously, and contrary to the Kaizer Chiefs signings, some of their signings haven't managed to get an opportunity to start, and it's kind of basically been quite like a work in progress. As I said, Thabiso Kutimela coming on in the MTN8 semi-final and providing an assist, and a debutant also scoring in that game. So from Mamelodi Sundowns, it's good signs from the signings that they made. But also, as I said, I don't think Sundowns are playing the best football, or are playing the way people are expecting them to play as far as their squad strength or quality is concerned. Whereas Kaizer Chiefs look like a team that is going to be exciting and quite enjoyable to watch this season. Now, preferably, I wouldn't have wished to see these two sides play again in a space in a short in such a short space of time. But unfortunately, we do not decide these things, and the fixtures there, and it has to be honored. How do I see it going? Look, the first game against these two sides was quite scrappy. I think Sundowns had a phenomenal first half, but fitness fatigue kind of cost them, and in terms of their performance in the second half. Kaizer Chiefs, Keegan Dolly coming on to the second half was massive. I think they started playing much better, although it wasn't the best compared to what we saw in the first half against Baraka. But it was good signs from that squad. Look, it's making it seems like it's going to be quite an interesting and an exciting fixture. Um, but I do not see a winner in this fixture, unfortunately, in my opinion. I think these two sides are going to cancel each other out. I think they're still trying to build for the rest of the season. I think both these coaches, or both these technical teams, um, do not want to suffer a defeat so early on in the season, especially in such a big game. Listen, not saying they cannot be a victor, but if one of these teams win this game, the implications are big. They become a confident team. They become a difficult team to beat, because if Kaizer Chiefs manage to win against Sundowns, I think they start believing that if they can beat Sundowns, then they can beat everybody, and it becomes a problem, because we know how our coach Stuart Baxter is, especially with winning streaks. We saw it when he was here back in 2013. Kaizer Chiefs going on a massive winning streak. So I think with Sundowns also last season, we saw what they did after they beat Kaizer Chiefs 3-0 in the first fixture. They went on to win quite a number of games. And going on basically a back and forth with Swallows FC. So for me, I think the two technical teams will be happy with a draw, although it will be an exciting game. I think there will be goals. We saw with the first encounter in the MTN8 quarterfinal, but I do not see a winner. So that's just my take on this fixture.